Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Answers on Eschatology. My name is Dan Derry, and I am the president of the Institute of Fulfilled Eschatology. We are in the midst of a study in Matthew chapter 24, and we are looking at the abomination of desolation in Matthew 24:15. And what I want to do today is I want to look at the source for Jesus' prophecy, of the abomination of desolation. Jesus said to his disciples in the first century, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Okay, so Jesus said this abomination of desolation was spoken by Daniel the prophet. Okay, so we need to go back to Daniel and check out what Daniel says regarding the timing and the elements involved or the context of this appearing of the abomination of desolation. Now, here's what we need to know, is that in Matthew 24, Jesus placed the time for the coming of the abomination in the context of the destruction of Jerusalem, Matthew 24, 2-3, and the end of the Old Covenant age, Matthew 24, 3 again, and Matthew 24, 14. Now, we're going to go back to Daniel, and we're going to show you that just like Jesus, Daniel places the appearing of the abomination of desolation at the time of the end of Jerusalem, the end of the Old Covenant world, and the destruction of Jerusalem. Let's do this. Go with me to Daniel chapter 9, and let's take a look at verse 24, then we'll jump down to 26 and 27. Now, just to keep this in context, look at this. Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks have been decreed for your people and your holy city. So this prophecy regards Daniel's city and the holy people, Jerusalem and Old Covenant Israel. Now let's go on in 26 and 27. Then after 62 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing. And the people of the prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. That's the destruction of Jerusalem. And its end will come with a flood, even to the end. That's the end of Israel. There will be war, desolations are determined. And he will make a firm covenant with the many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week, he will put a stop to sacrifice and grain offering, and on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate. That's the abomination of desolation, even until a complete destruction. Again, the destruction of Jerusalem, one that is decreed, is poured out on the one who makes desolate. So Daniel 9, in the context of your holy people and your holy city, Daniel 9:24, we have the abomination of desolation at the time of the destruction of Jerusalem and the end of Israel's age. The end. Okay? Go with me to Daniel chapter 11. Let's take a look at this again. Now, Daniel 11, the prophecy of the abomination of desolation is typological in this text. That is, it was fulfilled in the days of Antiochus Epiphanes in the middle of the 1st century BC, when he came into Jerusalem, desecrated the temple, slaughtered and sacrificed a pig on the altar, and massacred the Jewish people, cut off the Jewish religion for a period of time, etc. Okay, so this was fulfilled typologically in Antiochus Epiphanes, but it's prophetic of the end of the Old Covenant age and the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70, which we'll see. Daniel 11, let's look at verse 31. That's 29 to 31. At the appointed time, he will return and come into the south, but this last time it will not turn out the way it did before. For ships of Kittim will come against him. Therefore, he will be disheartened and will return and become enraged at the Holy Covenant and will take action. So he will come back and show regard to those who forsake the Holy Covenant. Forces from him, this is Antiochus Epiphanes, forces from him will arise, desecrate the sanctuary fortress, that's the destruction of Jerusalem, and do away with the regular sacrifice, and they will set up the abomination of desolation. Now, watch this. Let's just jump down to verse 35. Some of those who have insight will fall in order to refine, purge, and make them pure until the time of the end, because it is still to come at the appointed time. So we see this prophecy is prophetic of the appointed time, of the time of the end. But even though it was typologically fulfilled in the days of Antiochus Epiphanes, the prophecy places the abomination of desolation at the time of the end and the destruction of the city and the sanctuary. Okay? The destruction of Jerusalem. Let's go to the next chapter, Daniel 12, and take a look at this parallel text once again. Daniel 12, and look, let's begin verse 4. But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words and seal up the book until the time of the end. This is the end of Old Covenant Israel, okay? This is Jerusalem's end. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. Verse 6, and one said to the man dressed in linen who was above the waters of the river, how long will it be until the end of these wonders? I heard the man dressed in linen who was above the waters of the river, as he raised his right hand and his left hand toward heaven, and swore by him who lives forever and ever, that it would be for a time, times, and half a time. And as soon as they finished shattering the power of the holy people, that's the destruction of Jerusalem and the city and its people, as soon as they finish shattering the power of the holy people, all these events will be completed. As for me, I heard, but I could not understand. I said, my Lord, what will be the outcome of these events? He said, go your way, Daniel, for these words are sealed and concealed until the time of the end. Many will be purged, purified, and refined, and the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand, but those who have insight will understand. Listen, verse 11, for from the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation set up, there it is, there will be 1,290 days. Verse 13, but as for you, go your way to the end. Then, when? At the end, you will enter into rest and rise again for your allotted portion at the end of the days, or at the time of the end. Once again in Daniel 12, we have the abomination of desolation in the context and at the time of the destruction of Jerusalem and the end of the Old Covenant age, the end of Israel, the time of the end. So here is what we have, and here is the picture. Jesus in Matthew 24:15 is quoting Daniel the prophet. And Jesus places the abomination of desolation at the time of the end of the age, Matthew 24:3, and the destruction of Jerusalem, Matthew 24:2, and Luke, which is a parallel text, Luke 21:20 and following, okay? And Jesus, like I said, is quoting Daniel chapter 9, 11, and Daniel 12, and in all those texts in Daniel, Daniel places the abomination of desolation at the end, the time of the end of Israel, the end of the holy city, and the destruction of that covenant nation. Perfect parallels, you guys. Perfect parallels. And listen, Jesus in Matthew 24:34 places the fulfillment and the appearing of that abomination of desolation in his disciples' lifetime. Verily, verily, I say unto you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. That means the abomination of desolation is not in our future. It's in our past. And Daniel 9, Daniel 11, and Daniel 12 concerning the abomination of desolation have been fulfilled likewise. Well, guys, we got lots more to say. We'll pick it up next time on Answers on Eschatology. Bye for now.